Okay, now let's take a look at weighted average. And I've worked part of this ahead. The idea here with weighted average is that you have to keep an average cost as you proceed through your transactions. So I'm going to do just a little schedule off to the side here. Okay, an average cost and inventory value. Okay, so let me bring this to light and show you what I'm doing. Okay, now the average cost is the total cost divided by the number of units. Now, as of January 1st, I could have just pulled from that cell because we only have one layer, right? But technically, if we take the total cost divided by the units, right, D24 minus B24, I have the average cost. And then I can calculate the total inventory value, if I needed it, by putting it in this column. Now, we don't need that just yet. Okay, then we have a February 10th entry. And so what I've done on February 10th is I've said, take the sum of the total cost, that's those numbers there, divide it by the sum of the total units. And I get a new average cost. So it drops, and we would expect it to because it was $45 a unit, and now we have to average it with a lower cost. So we would expect the average cost to be somewhere between 45 and 42. And indeed it is. Then on March 13th, we have to do the same procedure again. Okay, now on March 13th, look at how we do the average. Now we need to average the total cost for three different layers, right? The beginning, the February 10th, and the March 13th, and then divide it by the total number of units, the 600, the 350, and the last one at 200. So we've got average cost down to 41.304. Now, then I've added this new row in here, which I've added in the schedule just to show some impact. Okay, why am I doing this? Because on March 15th we had a sale. So on March 15th we would have to multiply the 550 times 41.304 to come up with the cost of goods sold to record that sale. And that's how it would work with a perpetual inventory system using a weighted average. And so the inventory value then, what we have left, is the 550 units less times that average cost. Now, how did I come up with the 550 units? I took the sum of the units that we had in inventory, right, the beginning plus the two purchases, and then you can see there I subtracted off the 600 units that we sold. So the inventory value at that time was $22,717. Okay, now let's continue with our averaging. On August 21st, we now need to take, look how I've done this. I've taken, let me get this right first. First we have the total inventory value, the 22,717 plus the dollars we just added. And I just chose to do it this way rather than doing it in a more difficult calculation because we've had a sale now. So the total inventory dollars that we have are what we computed after we had our sale, and that was 22,717. Then we add 7,500, and we need to divide it by the total number of units, which was the 550 plus the 150. On August 17th, we have one more calculation to do. Here again, we take from what we currently had in inventory plus the new dollar amount, and now we need to divide it by the total number of units. That's why I'm highlighting cells B27, B28, and B29, and all of those go in the denominator. Okay, so we take the total cost divided by the units, and I'm just letting Excel do the math for us. And that tells us that the average cost at September 5th, the end of the day on September 5th, was $44.408. Okay, so then how would we compute the weighted average knowing that? Well, we'd need to know how much inventory we had on hand at the end. And we already know that that number of units is 1,145. So why don't I just put it over here just so I don't have to scroll the screen. Okay, so I'm going to say the average cost. What we're actually calculating is the cost assigned ending inventory. So why don't I say ending inventory at average cost? And we'll just put that dollar amount right there. Okay, now to do average cost, we need to figure out what the ending units were times the 4408. Now, because I put the 550 here, it changed this number that we worked earlier. So why don't I take the sum of that less that number, so at least we come down to the right number here, right? And so the ending inventory in the other cases was 595. So now we multiply the 595 units in ending inventory times the 44.408, and we get $26,422, and that's the ending inventory under average cost. Okay, everyone, I hope this has been helpful.